Oh, hello and welcome back. Thank you so much for clicking on my video. Today, we're going to be playing a 10-minute rapid game on chess.com where we are absolutely going to demolish whoever gets paired against us. We have a 1760, so he's 3 points higher than me, and we have the white pieces, so we play 1 e4. And let's see what we get. I believe this is the French. Is that what that's called? I don't know. I don't know it 100% well, so what I literally do is I just made up an opening that you can play against anything, and you just make this pawn structure, and it's amazing. Nobody has seen this. This is my custom opening, and I'm going to show you in practice how it can actually work. So like, this is not a real opening. If any chess teacher saw you play this, they'd be like, what are you doing? But it actually works out quite well. Like, I'm ready to castle, the queen's ready to go here, my knight comes here, and basically I have developed my pieces in a suboptimal way. We put the queen here so we at least have some ideas of this, like pushing in the center. Let's break in the center. First things first. Yes, he's going to just have 2 pawns in the center. But then I'm pretty much ready to castle either way that I want. And what's crazy about this opening is you can plug it into the computer and it will give you a more or less, if not advantageous situation, a completely equal position. And you can literally have this setup of all your minor pieces making a little square behind this pawn pyramid. And it is amazing how many positions it's good to go. So my first thought is, what if I just straight up attack this knight? You can't go here, you can't go here, you can't go here, you can take this pawn. So is it too early to just be attacking? I think we're gonna do it. Just straight up question the knight. And the benefit of this is if they are a seasoned player. So I am gonna grab this, but then he's gonna trap me. But then I'm going to take, and then get in with check. So I just feel like that was a blunder by our opponent. His knight ventured into our territory, and more or less, the opening worked. More or less, the opening worked. We can immediately, like, after this, I'll bring it over to Lichess and plug it into the computer. But I have experimented by myself, and so if there's an opening that you don't know super well, like they play whatever that was, I think it's the French, and you don't know it super well, you can basically play this setup against anything, and it's good to go. And so we're going to see this move, but then I'm going to take, then I'm going to take, then I'm just coming in with check. Pretty much I have to do this. And then we're just straight up gonna destroy this dude. Like, what are your options? Do you really want to take? And this pawn is luckily defended, so he sacrifices. And maybe there's a way we can figure out, like, how to get the queen. Let's see. This is now a basically impossible to stop passed pawn. So this check will most likely lead to this. Check. Let me think. I would love to just be able to trade the queens, but this isn't going to work because he's going to just bring something back. What if I check, and then with the idea of bringing this pawn? This check doesn't even work because I'm defended, and I'm pretty much ready to castle. So I think I really like the idea of check. And unfortunately, these pieces can't really help. This isn't going to work immediately, I don't think. So here, block this, and then he'll take. But I still have this check whenever I feel like. Should I just bring this? And if he takes, then I have another pawn, and then I'm ready to castle, and I'm just up 5 points of material. I mean, I got his rook for my guy. So if we can trade anything, I'm happy. So first we're going to bring the knight. He wants to trade the queens, which is basically what I wanted. Is there anything better? I can literally just trade the queens, trade the bishop, and then just win an endgame. And so that will work. Should I do that? I could also trade and get my knight more in the middle. You know what? Let's just not be ridiculous here. So he's going to take. This pawn will be under attack. If I take here, you basically have to take back. Can't be bad. He wants to bring his king. Okay. So now this is being attacked, but it looks like the dark squares are pretty like solid. So I could push this, but I'm giving this up. So what if I bring the king to then support that pawn push? Or what if I just start pushing the passed pawn right now? No, let's be principled and bring the king. We're going to just protect everything over here. He wants to bring the knight. Getting my knight to this square would be quite delicious. But I can also just start pushing the passed pawn like I said. Let's push it one square. And like he can pin it, but I'm just gonna push. Push. And at some point he can win this pawn, but he's gonna have to trade off his rook most likely to do it. And that's not something that he really wants to do. And I can go boom, boom real quickly with this check. Okay. We're coming in. Dark squares are secure. This bishop is definitely cutting off a lot of the light squares in the position, but I'm pretty confident. I need to get this other rook involved. Okay, so we're gonna hit him with this check. It just can't be bad. He scoots back. And we just push another pawn. Now he's attacking this knight. But I'm going to just reinforce being able to push this. And so if he brings his rook over here, I will just sidestep. Basically, this would be a threat of being able to just take my knight for free. But I'm going to sidestep it, and I might even sidestep it. Let's just think for a second. I would like to sidestep. I don't want to cut this off. Going here, I remain on the light square, so like a check could come. So it makes me think that going here makes the most sense. And I'm really, really ready to just push this pawn. I might even scoot this up to get off this crazy diagonal with this bishop. And now that I'm really thinking, there had to have been a better way. So instead of doing this and giving him an open file, I don't love that. But then again, if I take here, then I walk into this or this. Check. So pretty much I think that I have to take like this. This knight is like glued to this position, and I'm ready to push and dislodge that knight. And if I get my pawn to here and is protected, oof, it's going to be rough. So he is threatening that. I can defend it a couple different ways. This would be one of them. This would be another one. What if I do just challenge the rooks? He definitely doesn't want to trade the rooks off. He might just scoot over here at that point. Then I'd take, or we're going to do this. The only thing I need to be a little bit weary of is this fork could happen at some point, like if I'm not careful. Okay. Bring the king in. Attack the knight. The knight would have to go somewhere first, like here, and then I could push. I think all of these are pretty much great options. And unfortunately, his king is not going to be able to come over. I can push, but then he takes with the knight. If I push and he takes with the rook, and then I take and he takes with the knight, again, I'm just pretty much in an endgame where I can't lose. So let's do this. If he takes with the knight, he's pinned, and like he can figure out a way to get out of it eventually. He doesn't have any discovery checks to get out of this in a useful way, and I can slide over. It'll let his king come, but he's too slow. So I'm pretty sure I'm just going to be able to double up here, because right now his king cannot step onto this file to get over here to this crucial defensive square. Even pushing my pawn would have made sense right now. Okay. I like this because I'm going to just guaranteed win something. He is going to definitely get my pawn, but I'm going to have two rooks. So we're going to grab that. Yes, he's going to be able to get this pawn. But first things first, let's just question this rook. And the only thing, like I really need to be able to trade this off. He's probably going to slide up here. I might defend my second rank. Okay, he wants to go here. I feel like it makes sense to give this check. I can also try and dislodge this pawn, or I can just try and double up over here. What's the best move? Check here, check, or just take this. Let's just give this check. He basically wants to stay guarding that pawn, because if he doesn't, then I'm going to start taking pawns. Let's first question the rook, because right now he can give this check, which I don't really love. He can't immediately slide down to attack this. And so let's get ready to infiltrate. I've got 1 minute. He is going to be able to just attack this. I've got an extra rook. So I basically just, I need to figure out how to get his rook. I want to win one of these pawns. If I can win either of these pawns, I'm just really doing well. Maybe even just like scooting up and being able to give this check would make sense. Or just start pushing pawns. Don't want him winning that pawn. This one, okay, check. Here. Okay, he's going to get that pawn. Check. Here. 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 I don't know what to do. Push this pawn. He's being so annoying with one rook. So he's going to be able to get this pawn, but I feel like getting that pawn, this pawn is a little bit less important. And so he's going to get that pawn, but I'm still going to get this one. I can now get this one. Just take. Okay. And then this comes with the idea of forcing a rook trade. So probably like this would be a good idea. But now I'm defending this weakness, and I can like push this pawn. I'm going to just come hide right over here. Check here, up into the position, completely hidden. We're going here. Here. I could even give this check at some point. Here. Here. Defend from the checks and be able to get behind this guy. 26 seconds. Oh my goodness. Definitely need to be playing faster. We're going to cover this. Push. Here to threaten this. We are now threatening that. Basically has to take. I should have checked if there was a stalemate possible. Check. 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 I had to checkmate, but I was kind of just giving checks. I didn't want to lose on time there. So I didn't want to stalemate, and I didn't want to lose on time. In the endgame like that, you got to be a little bit careful when pawns are cutting off squares, the rook's cutting off a lot of squares, and it's better to just like every move be with a check. And so I have to say he played quite well in the endgame with just one rook. I should have just started pushing pawns earlier. So either way, yeah, I definitely missed a checkmating opportunity early on in the game and made that into a long drawn out where I needed to promote a new pawn. I know that there was a simpler way, a better like checkmate. I just didn't see it. So trading off a bunch of pieces into a winning game is not the worst plan. So let's bring it over to Lichess and check it with the analysis over there. Here we are in the analysis, and oh my goodness, I played this game at 98% accurate with one inaccuracy, and my one inaccuracy was f3, initiating like my opening strategy. So essentially, I played a perfect game of chess, which is ridiculous for me. And so yes, our opponent made that one blunder, but then he played incredibly accurate. He made two inaccuracies, one blunder, 93% accurate. So we both basically played really, really well. He just made that one blunder that I was able to find. And so on another note, this opening that I have created, so this is my one inaccuracy of the game, and the reason that I'm playing that is because he has probably faced a lot of the other top engine lines. That's something that you would study, but nobody in their right mind studies this opening, okay? So even like f4 is a real move. That's like a real opening. But this little pyramid, nobody sees it. Nobody knows how to play against it, and neither do I, essentially. Like, it's just an obscure equalizing position, okay? And so yes, if they like directly go to like trade pawns in the middle and change the position, it's something entirely different. But let's just take a step forward. Literally, I do my opening and look at the evaluation. I'm winning. This is good for me. And then I have a +1 advantage if I castle or start trying to reroute my knight towards like a better square. Instead, I bring the queen up, and this is literally like, I have played this. I don't even care. You could make this side of the board invisible, and in bullet, I play this, and you can pre-move all of it, and then you just have like an equal position. You're not getting any opening tricks with white or anything like that, but you're not going to have opening tricks played on you. And so I'm a huge advocate of this opening. And so thus far, completely perfect. We go for this little sneaky, which is not an inaccuracy or anything. It's just not a great move. He comes through, and immediately I trade here because he basically has to do something about it. Then we hit the knight, and he could grab a pawn for it, but he chooses to go back. And so going back is basically just as bad as going forward, or he could have just completely ignored it and let me grab it. And so he goes back, we grab, and at this point, he was supposed to simply ignore it. Just bring the knight and let my bishop live. Because the alternative is let me sacrifice the bishop and get some pawns. And then my queen is like giving your king a little kiss. And this is not good for you. And the alternatives are like to scoot on the dark squares where my dark square bishop is getting ready to party. So we play the best move. Let's see how many best moves in a row. We get best move, best move, best move, best move, best move, best move. Come on, computer, think a little bit longer. Whoa. It was doing it. It was thinking about it. Come on, Stockfish. Tell me what I want to hear. Okay, we don't play the best move, but it's a strong second. We do this simply because I'm making way to push this past pawn now. And so we bring the knight. Who cares about the best moves? At this point, every move I make is great. So I thought about pretty much all of these options, but I figured for simplicity's sake, if we can get rid of the queen, I could have pushed the pawn and then got the queen trade on my terms and given my rook an open file, but that's not something I wanted to do. Just get rid of this, bring the king up to defend all of this while hanging out on a dark square because he has a light square bishop. Then we push the pawn. This is also not a good or bad move. And at this point, he's just in a lot of trouble. We put our knight in the middle of the board with a check. He has no pawns that he can push to dislodge this knight. So this knight is basically just going to live here being a menace. And so king goes back. We push the pawn. The computer says I'm supposed to like make a reroute. Maybe this square is actually better for my knight. Who knows? And then this was the only opportunity where like I could have made a mistake. Is he's threatening this. This pawn is pinned. Luckily, I'm good at chess, so that didn't happen. And I chose this because it's a dark square. Again, I didn't want to move here because then there's chances of this. Stuff could happen, okay? We trade, and again, oh, it's saying either one works. I didn't want to do this just because this allows checks, and I don't feel like getting checked. So we take with the pawn, the correct move. We challenge the open file. He scoots over for the pawn, and then this is not, by the computer sense, a good move, and I knew that, but it's going to force a trade of pieces, basically. I'm pushing this pawn, and you're either going to not take it or just, like, you have to take it. You have to do something about it, basically. And so either way he takes, if he takes with the knight, then he's basically pinned, and if he takes with the rook, cool, I'm going to trade off the rook, and it's going to be my rook and passed pawn versus your knight, plus I got an extra pawn over here. So you're just cooked at that point. So we take. It's saying push here because this can dislodge it in a better way and the king can't come over. Who cares? We get this. Yes, he's going to get my pawn, but we get your knight. Then, through all of this, I've got one more tidbit of information I want to give you. We fly through all of this. Threatens my pawn. Should have stayed on this file so that my rook could come back and protect this pawn. I feel like this was a small inaccuracy by me, but in the end, it doesn't matter. This pawn was kind of unimportant, and I'm getting his pawn that was very important. So we just traded some pawns, but I don't even care about this pawn, and he cared about that pawn a lot. King comes forward, we grab another pawn, we trade off a pawn, we put my rooks just so that they're seeing each other because I am low on time at this point. Transferring over, I don't get to bring how much time because now I'm doing it in Lichess instead of chess.com. We push a pawn, hits us with a check with the idea of my king hiding right here. He's basically trying to figure out a way to give me another check. So I'm bringing my rook to block this check and be able to go here and support this pawn. And that is exactly what we do. There's nothing he can do. At this point, I can bring my king and pretty much like get the rook for free. If that makes sense. I can bring my king. The rook has to go somewhere and then I push. And then I get to maintain two rooks. But at this point, you don't need to do that. Just do what's simple. You know it's winning, do it. And then my last tidbit of information here. If you are trying to checkmate, alternating your pieces is generally the best strategy. So always try and give a check with a new piece. So when I give this check with the queen, I'm thinking in my head, next I want to give a check with this rook, if at all possible. After I give the check with the rook, I'm thinking I would like to give another check with my queen. And you can alternate like that, and it's going to change the position in your favor, bringing new pieces to the party. Like new pieces are going to be coming to the attack. Now, if you're trying to win pieces, like say you're trying to win a pawn, sometimes checking a few times with the same piece, specifically the queen, is not such a bad idea. So like there's situations where it's like, say that there's 2 pawns here or something, and the enemy king is here, and your queen is here or something, you can go like check. The king will have to move over onto this file because he can't get out this way because the pawns, wherever he goes, you hit him with another check, he goes back, and then you win the pawn. So there's a lot of like queen tactics you can do that. But generally speaking, if you can check with a new piece, check with a new piece. If you're trying to checkmate, if you're not trying to checkmate, it's okay. Still bringing a new piece to the party is good, but don't think about that too much if you're just like playing chess. If you're trying to checkmate, do it. So I am a little bit blown away at how accurate I played that game. That one's a 1 for the record books. And so, yeah, this opening, just absolutely. Take a look at it right here. Doesn't matter which order you play the pieces, essentially. Whoop. But I don't think that it has a name. Openings need to like have a corresponding black position to be a real opening. And I play this against all sorts of stuff. And I challenge you to go plug this into an engine and try and find like positions where it's bad, because I don't think there's really too many of them. The only time that it's like slightly a problem is if they do exactly the same thing, and then it's just equal at some point. So either way, thank you so much for clicking on my video. It was an absolute pleasure. I'm glad that I was able to perform so well for you. And I'm going to be going to Honduras for 2 weeks. So Honduras for 2 weeks to go scuba diving. And so I scheduled some videos to come out while I'm gone. I've been talking for way too long. Thank you so much. Until next time.